Welcome back to Books and Beyond with That Guy Jay. I am your host, That Guy Jay, and today I am joined by content creator, podcaster, and as of this year, officially a published author, Evan Leikam. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks very much for having me.
I kind of stole this from your podcast, but I start every podcast by asking, what are you currently reading?
Sure, yeah. Let's see. Right now, I'm reading "Whale Fall" by Daniel Kraus, which I'm enjoying. It's about a guy who like is diving. His dad was like a famous, a community famous scuba diver, and he died. And he died in the way he lived, diving down to the bottom of the ocean. And then this guy is going to go find his remains, but then he meets a whale. It's a
I think
I
I've
don't want
heard
to
of the
spoil it.
title, but I had no idea
Yeah.
what it was about.
Yeah, it's cool so far, yeah, it's definitely something that it's just something different, and I'm also reading, Michael Miller's, Songs of Chaos series. First book is called Ascendant, and if you're into, like, young boy who wants to be more than he is and dragons are involved, like, it's right up your alley. It's, like, such an awesome series, and, it's self-published, but, like, I wouldn't. No, I mean, like, it's he had a really good editor, and, like, I haven't seen any, like, spelling errors or, like, anything in it at all. It's, like, very polished, like, very, very good series so far. And I'm also, what's the other one I'm reading? Gosh, I'm picking at, like, so many different things right now. Uh, I'm reading, this book called Relic by, Preston and Child. Like, it's the first book in the Pendergast series.
I don't think I've heard of that
Um
one.
Yeah, it's like, there's like 20 of them or something, and I think it's just kinda like this. I don't really know what the vibe is so far. I'm only, like, 50 or so pages into it, but, I love, like, a cool, like, creature feature type book,
Yeah.
and this is about, like, this, like, strange creature that is living under a museum in New York City,
Oh, I'm
and
sold there. I
right?
I
Yeah.
love anything in New York City. I'm not originally from New York City, but I moved here in, like, 2008.
Oh, you live in New York? Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's like I've always been a sucker for anything that takes place in the city.
Yeah, like, the idea of, like, I feel like Monsters Under the City has, like, totally been done before, but I like the idea of it being like this. It's a relic, like, in a museum, but yeah, Pendergast has always been kinda on my radar. I thought that Preston and Child was, it's, like, 2 authors, I can't remember their first names, but I thought one of them was Lee Child, and so I was like, "I don't really care about that," but it's not him at all. It's, like, a
That's funny.
totally different guy. Yeah.
So you disregarded it for years.
Yeah, but then I was doing some research on because I really do love, like, a good creature feature type book, and I was doing some research on, like, that kind of story, um, and that one came up, and I was like, "Oh, that's the first book in Pendergast. Alright, cool, like, I'll check that out." But I just finished, Fall of Reach. I was reading some Halo stuff, like the video game, like, novelization.
Are those any good?
Uh
I always see them on
Yeah,
the Switch, and they're
yeah.
usually affordable.
They're cool. Yeah, I mean, like, I just finished Fall of Reach. It really digs into, like, Dr. Halsey and the Spartan program and how, like, morally kind of bankrupt that whole thing is, but it's, like, also kinda necessary because of the Covenant and everything, but, and then, like, digging into John Spartan's, like, backstory and, like, humanizing him a lot more past the game is really cool, and then I just got sent, it's funny, like, the timing of it, but Simon& and Schuster just sent me the audiobook for Contact Harvest. So I think they're cool. Like, I mean, I am not a huge military sci-fi guy, um, but if you mix it with Halo, which is, like, super nostalgic for me,
Yeah.
like, I can kinda get into it, you know?
Yeah, Halo I mean, Halo was a big deal for
Yeah, it's
El
a big deal.
Elder.
Even though it sucks, it has sucked for a decade now, like, we haven't had, like, a really solid
I
on
haven't
it for a while,
I haven't
but
played it in a long time. I think I
yeah.
played the most was probably, like, way back with Halo 2.
Totally, yeah, yeah,
It's like
but it's still, like, it's in my heart, and I like reading about it, and, there's also some other, like, video game, like, BioShock Rapture is, like, another one that I wanna read. It's like a prequel to the first BioShock game.
oh, that would be
Um,
cool.
yeah, I've heard it's great, like, I've heard it's really good, and then, a while back, I read the novelization of the, 2018 God of War game, which was written by, I think, Cory Barlog's,
I didn't
about,
even realize they had that.
I know it's so wild, like, what they had. Like, if you go into, like, so I've got Powell's here, like, one of the bigger bookstores in the country, like, down the street from me, and they have a big, like, D&D and, like, video game novelization, like, section, and it's so funny to go in there and see some stuff like, oh, there's Borderlands books, like, there's Assassin's Creed books, and I don't know, it's just, like, a cool way to keep it up, keep the lore going, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of video games do have a lot better storylines than I think non-video game players realize. Like, I don't game a ton
Right.
anymore, but it's like
Yeah, me neither. Yeah, I wish I did more, but just don't have the time.
but there's a lot of cool ones.
Did you play Expedition 33 yet?
I didn't.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
I've reached a point in my life where, like, a lot of my video game knowledge just comes from, like, for background noise, I put on people streaming different games.
Yeah, I'll, every now and then, like, while I'm writing, instead of music, like, I'll put on, like, a long play of, like, a game that I like,
Yeah.
and it's funny, like, it's such a like, because there is music, it's music I like, I'll put on, like, a Donkey Kong 64 long play or something, and it's like it's just enough like, white noise that I'm, like, comfortable with, that I can get into a writing flux. It's weird how it works. Maybe I'm just
Yeah,
mentally
background
much broader.
background noise helps me a lot too because when it's too quiet, I don't know, I can't concentrate for some reason. Maybe
Oh
it's
my gosh.
mild
Like,
ADHD brain or something.
I think we're all just a little bit brain rotted.
Yeah.
Uh,
I always have to put something on
please.
to go to bed at night too, and I found that there's people who make specific, like, they call it, like, ASMR Minecraft, and they'll just do, like, 6 or 8-hour long plays of Minecraft with the music
Yeah,
and the sounds, and I'm like, "That works." I can, like,
yeah.
don't have to pay attention to that. Minecraft soundtrack is super relaxing.
I was thinking about I've talked about this on my other podcast, but I was thinking about starting a podcast or a YouTube channel or something, and I don't know what, like, the copyright laws would be for this or, like, the legality. But I think it'd be cool to just pick random Wikipedia articles and just read them word for word. Like,
That would actually be awesome.
I think that'd be pretty cool. Like, yeah, it'd be not that much work, on the back end, like, editing wise, and, um, just speak like I normally do, like a pretty deep voice and, um, just do one on like, "Okay, so this is Super Nintendo." We'll just talk about Super Nintendo for an hour and a half. That'd be kinda
Yeah.
cool.
I have come across some, because I get suggested to me anything related to sleep now on YouTube, and it's like boring history to fall asleep to, or
Yeah,
like
totally.
a philosophy to fall asleep to, and it's like you put on a video and it's just like 3 hours of someone talking about stoicism and, Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah, 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 that'll put you right to bed. That'll put you right to and it's interesting. It's just like a nice little mix. Yeah, I do audiobooks sometimes too, like, I'll re-listen to, like, Rob Inglis's reading of Lord of the Rings or whatever, and that'll help sometimes.
Yeah, I got into doing audiobooks, at bedtime at the beginning of this year because I had never read Harry Potter. I didn't read in high school. I was, like, very anti-reading. I thought I was too
Oh, yeah, it's for
for
nerds. Yeah.
I just it was, like, in my early 20s, I found out that books are actually cool. So I missed the whole Harry Potter craze, and so I listened to them all, like, I'd listen to, like, 30, 40 minutes before bed and then fall asleep to it, and then next morning,
Mhm.
like, go back and find whatever chapter I last remembered. So
Did
I
you
think
finish them?
yeah, I got through all of them pretty quickly.
What'd
I
you think
think
about it? Sorry,
I
I didn't
think
mean to
it's
interrupt
tough
you.
I think it's tough being my age and having no nostalgia related to it, like,
Mhm.
they were fine, some of them better than others.
Yeah,
Um, Overall, it was pretty good, but I think, like, if I had some connection to when I was younger and enjoyed it,
yeah.
because I didn't even watch the movies, I just skipped right
Oh, wow, yeah, yeah, you went right in.
so it's like
Yeah.
being a full adult was like it's like, "This is okay." It's definitely I can see how it got so many people into fantasy. It is like, it's a cool world, but
Yeah, it's really immersive, it's just, like, there's just so many issues with it. Like,
yeah.
I feel like, time has not been kind to it with people's, a lot of people have analyzed it, and a lot of people have really picked it apart, and I think that for me personally, like, there's a lot of, like, rose-colored glasses around it because it is so nostalgic for me, but then it's like, I can't help but be like, I mean, obviously, there's, like, the side of it too with J.K. Rowling being so reprehensible, but then, like, also on a story and, like, structural level, a narrative level of those books, it's like there's so many issues with, the 4th book just, like, doesn't even make sense, Like, the whole plot is, like, so silly,
Yeah.
and it's like, there's also, like, a lot of, like, retcons going on, and then just, like, issues with the world build in general of just, like, like, why would this work? You know? Like, just but it is really immersive, and yeah, it's just, like,
Yeah, and
really easy.
I can definitely see how kids got so into it and, young
Yeah, yeah.
adults, and I think if this was your first introduction into fantasy, it would be very cool, but if you've read a bunch of fantasy, it's like you've seen a lot of this before and kinda
Yeah.
seen it done better.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
especially some of the, the types of creatures, and it's like, it'd be cool to hear about them for the first time that way, but
I know, I've always wondered, like, what it'd be like, I mean, reading something like King Killer. I don't know if you've read that before, like Name of the Wind and Wise Man's Fear.
I haven't yet.
I mean, there's a lot of those kind of like, orphan boy goes to school kind of thing, uh, in that book, and I always thought it'd be interesting to, like, read something like that, which is done really, really well, and then, like, read Harry Potter for the first time and be like, "What? There's so much missing out of this. This is basically just like a montage of this kid at school." But yeah, I mean, when I remember being, like, 9 or 10 years old and being like, "This is the best." I'm
Yeah,
loving this
and
so much.
I can
Yeah.
100% see, like, if I had actually given reading a chance when I was a teenager, when they came out,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it is a cool world, especially if like, I think a lot of people caught it when they were around
Mhm. Yeah.
Harry's age, so it's like you grew up with them, and, like, as you grew, the story grew a little bit too, in terms of, like, the first couple books were definitely very, like, middle grade.
Yeah, I wonder sometimes, like, with the newer generations, like, if they'll latch the same way that millennials latched onto it.
Yeah,
Um,
it'll be
like,
interesting to see with the new I guess it's a show,
the new
right, that they're coming
show,
out with?
yeah.
See if kids get into it or if their millennial parents just force them to watch it.
I don't know, yeah, it's gonna be weird.
I just I don't think it'll have this I don't think it'll be the
I don't think
same.
it's gonna be the same, no, it's like a
I think we're going through a sad cycle currently where they're redoing too many things.
yeah, I mean, that money is pretty easy.
Yeah. Well, it's kinda sad that a lot of media has become just printing money instead of going after, new and creative stories.
I think if you dig, you can definitely like, that's I mean, I brought up Expedition 33 a little bit ago, but, like, that's a double A game, like, made by a small studio. They don't have a bunch of suits yelling at them, telling them to put it out, and they'll just fix everything later. It's like, I think that, while there are, like, these like, in every medium, whether it's books or TV or movies or video games or whatever, even music, it's like there's always been, like, this kind of surface level, cash grabby kind of, like, mass appeal kinda thing to a lot of it, but then, you know, you just gotta dig, like, just a little bit. Like, just like, you barely have to dig at all, just, like, move the dirt out of the way, and you'll find, like, a bunch of and it's not even just indie gems or, like, totally underrated stuff, but it's just, like, the sheer volume of, like, art being made. Um, it's like, yeah, there are cash grab movies, like, when Disney does their live action remakes and stuff, and, but then there's also, like indie or, like, smaller projects like, like Sea Beast or, like, Flow or, like, those kinds of things where
Yeah.
it's like and I feel like that those will always exist. It's just a matter of, just kind of doing a little bit of the work, a tiny bit of the work.
I think in terms of books, at least, I do think Book Talk has helped a lot. It's
Yeah,
certainly
I agree, yeah.
it's
Yeah.
helped my TBR grow to, a massive level that I'll probably never get through all of them, but that's a good problem to have.
Yeah, definitely, and
It
even with
definitely
books
Book
but
Talk opened my eyes to new genres too, because I
of
was
course.
like when I got into reading, it was thrillers. I got into reading actually because of, The Da Vinci Code.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was like
That
I
book
had
rips. Yeah, that's good.
I
Yeah.
had 4 months to kill before going to boot camp. I joined the Navy, but my ship date wasn't until, like, June, and it was the winter, and all my friends were at school, and I had nothing to do, and everybody was talking about the Da Vinci Code. It had been out for, like, maybe a year, and I was like, "Alright, let's see what this is about," and I ate it up, and I was like, "Oh, okay, like, books can be real cool."
Oh, yeah, Dan Brown rocks. Like, did you read, Angels and Demons?
Oh, yeah, I read
Oh my god.
everything
That
he
book
had put
is
out back then
oh, cool, yeah,
immediately,
yeah,
and then
Angels
from
and
there,
Demons is so good.
I eventually got into fantasy through Game of Thrones because everyone was talking about the show, and I was like,
Yeah,
I'm the kind of person where I have to read the book first. So I was like, "Alright, let me get into this book and see how it goes."
yeah.
And that's when I figured out that I liked fantasy a lot. 'Cause like,
Yeah, I
I
see the
liked
Robin
Lord of
Hood.
the Rings in high school. Huh?
So, I see the Robin Hood back
Oh, yeah,
there, yeah.
they're the cool '90s covers too.
Yeah, I've got
Those
those.
are, like, my
Yeah.
proudest proudest book possession
Yeah,
right
those are in
there.
good shape too.
Yeah. It took a while to piece this together. I got them one by one.
Nice. Yeah,
I messed up originally. I ordered, the original trilogy on eBay,
yeah,
but they don't show pictures,
sure,
or the picture doesn't necessarily match if you read the fine print, so I got
sure.
3 of, like, the modern mass market covers, which are terrible.
Yeah, those old ones, I don't know if that's Michael Whelan, I think that's Michael Whelan.
I think
They
it might
did
be. I'd have to double
yeah,
check, but
yeah, at least for the Farseer ones, I don't know if he did the art for the sh
Live Ship,
live ship stuff that you got over there too.
yeah, those are awesome covers too.
Yeah, they really
They kinda go downhill after this because this I mean, '90s was such a cool time for covers, so I guess '80s too, actually.
Yeah, it's funny, like, when I was, talking with my publisher about the cover for, Angie Kills a King, we still hadn't really landed on anything, and they were like, "Well, what do you think? What would you want it to be?" Which is already, like, so cool that they would even ask me, but, um, I floated, like, could we do, like, a retro, like, '80s or '90s kind of, like, Michael Whelan style, like, and they were like, "No, we can't do that." Because and it wasn't because they were like, "No, that's stupid, Evan. That's a bad idea." They were just like, "Well, no, because if we did that, you're a debut. People will think it's like this you're like this old author that, like, we want it to look, like, modern on the shelf for people that don't know who you are, so that they can know, like, oh, this is a new book."
Which is
So
probably I'm sure they know what they're talking about there.
yeah,
The
I'm
cover
hoping, like
the cover did come out very cool, though.
thank you. Yeah, I was really that's Oliver Barrett. Yeah, he's a fantastic artist, and I just got sent the rough draft for, the second book too, for the cover for the second book, and it looks really cool. Um, and I got really lucky with like, covers are a big deal. Um, they say don't judge a book by its cover, but I do it every time I walk into a bookstore, so
I mean, we all do.
yeah. Yeah.
We universally all hate the movie or show cover when they put the actual actors,
I know,
but
right?
yet they still do. I don't know how. Everybody universally hates it. I don't know how it ends up being a good idea, but I guess maybe for
Yeah.
casual readers are okay.
Yeah, I think people just, like, um, they see Sean Bean on the Game of Thrones cover, and it's like, "Okay, yeah, I can connect these things."
Yeah,
It stands out a little more than just, like, the blue cover with a sword on it, right? It's like, that's
yeah.
not as catchy. But yeah, I think it'd be really cool. I mean, I'm working on a bunch of other stuff right now too, and, maybe in a few years when I've sold some more books and I've got a little more under my belt, uh, whoever whatever publisher I'm on, I hope it's Tor, but, they would be like, "Yeah, let's do a cool retro cover. Fuck it." Like
Now, how much input did you get on the cover? Did they show you a few and you got to pick one, or did they kind of just be
Mhm.
like, here it is, this is it?
Um, so they've been so I'm with Tor for anybody listening. Tor is an amazing publisher. It's like a dream come true publisher, and they've been very, very lax with me about everything. They've been very, very lenient. But with the cover, my editor asked me like, "What do you think, like in broad strokes, the cover should be?" And I said, "It'd be really cool if we had our 2 main characters very small on the cover up against the elements. I want to communicate to people that this is 2 people, like, very, very much alone in a big space with a lot up against them." And then Oliver took that and ran with it and made it 1,000 times cooler than anything I could have done. And then most of the fine details were like colors. I think we had like a red one and like a purple one or something. And then like I saw the green and yellow, and I was like, we should do that because like I don't see a lot of green and yellow fantasy books. Like I don't see like a ton of that.
Yeah, that's true. Now that you say that, I wouldn't have thought
Yeah,
you'd
it
take
definitely
the
sticks
green and
out on a
yellow.
shelf for sure, like, it's very bright, maybe too bright for how dark the book is.
Yeah, the book is fairly dark.
Yeah,
It's interesting. Is like I've talked to, I mean, I've become friends with an author on Book Talker named Shayen Gandhi. She writes romance books. She was on the podcast at one point too, and she was saying that for one of her books, it was just like, okay, here's the cover, and then for another book, they were like, so what do you want to do? Like, give us the
yeah,
colors, give us the
and
theme, like way more input. And she's like, for both, it worked out because the I had no idea on the one that they chose for me. Like, I didn't have anything specific, but this one, I knew exactly what I wanted.
Totally. Yeah, I think it's just different for every author. I mean, like, I've got a really awesome agent who's very much got my back, and I think that if it had been one of those situations where it was like, "I absolutely hate this, I don't wanna do this at all," then we would have been able to figure that out. Thankfully, that's not what it was, but I have heard, it's like, horror stories where authors were just like, "I really don't like this cover at all, I don't wanna do this," and they're like, "Well, we're doing it anyway." Um, and it is kinda like, there's like your artistic side where you're like, well, no, this is the vision I have for this. And then also, at the risk of sounding like too crass about it, like it is a business. And sometimes you do have to like trust and delegate. And, like these people know what they're doing. They know how to sell books. They've been doing it for a long time. And
Right.
maybe your idea just isn't going to sell, or they're not confident it'll sell as many books as their idea. So it is kind of like a weird space to be in, but I'm really grateful that I didn't have to really have that conversation. We just got a really cool cover and it worked out.
No, I think that's a great point too, and I think we also have to acknowledge that, like, we're way more into this niche than other people. So something that might
Sure.
be
Yeah.
super cool to us is, like, a casual reader might not get the reference or, like, have read a cool 80s or 90s fantasy book to get that that's what you were going for. So I'm sure they have a lot of people that are very smart to figure out what is selling and what isn't, but
Yeah, I mean, like what I really wanted, well, maybe not for this specific book, but it had crossed my mind. I wanted like a mass market paperback with a retro cover, and it was like it makes so much sense that they'd be like, no, we can't do that. Like no one will buy it. It'll
yeah, because
like it'll look like it's from the 80s.
ultimately, they are in the business of making money. That's how they exist.
Sure. But I think that after a while, like, I don't know, that's the funny thing about this kind of industry is that, like, sometimes, like, everything's cyclical and, like, sometimes, like, new age fun with a vintage feel is always cool, and I don't know, it's like, I do wonder if somebody did put out, like I mean, look at, like, Legends and Lattes, like, that cover art is pretty retro, like, it's I mean, it's not, like, it looks like a newer book, but like, at least the first, like, self-published version, they cleaned it up a lot and, like, sharpened everything up for, like, the tour release, but I have the
Yeah.
self-published version over here, and if that was, like, a mass market paperback, like, I would probably take a second glance and be like, "When did this come out?"
Yeah.
And it sold really, really well, so I don't know, it's a weird business.
Now, you mentioned a second ago you have a great agent, and for anyone who hasn't heard your podcast, I think it's a pretty cool story how you ended up finding him as an agent because it happened on TikTok.
Yeah, yeah, I was doing a live and on TikTok, like, years ago, and I was just talking about books, and somebody in the chat asked me if I'd been working on anything of my own, and I said that I had. And then my agent, Seth, who wasn't my agent at the time, obviously, DM'd me, I think, on Instagram and said, "Hey, you should send me whatever you've got. Like I'm an agent." And I was like, "Oh, all right. Well, I've." When I said I was working on stuff, I didn't mean I'd really like finished anything or like whatever, but I sent him what I had, which is like the very, very, very first draft of Angie Kills a King, coincidentally. And he rejected it. He was like, nah, like, I don't think this is gonna be it, man. Because it was really just in such a formative stage, and, like, I didn't even really know what I was doing with it, and, I just thought it was cool, and I think he thought it was cool too. I mean, he had some nice things to say about, like, my line to line and stuff. But he gave me like a rewrite and resubmit, which is a good thing. And if you're a writer and you're querying agents, like if an agent says they want you to rewrite and resubmit, that's kind of like a really soft rejection. Like it's kind of like saying like I'm still interested in what you've got. I see potential here, but I'm not ready to take this on. So go work on it and make it better, which is what I did. It took me a while, but I eventually sent him a much like more punched up version of the book, and yeah, then he took me on, and we worked on it some more, just the 2 of us. But yeah, he's a fantastic agent. He's great.
Now, when did you originally get the idea for Angie Kills a King? Like, was it in your head for a while, or did you kinda jump right into it once you thought of the idea?
It was in my head for a little bit, like, just kinda kicking around this idea of having, like, more of a two-hander kind of story where, you got, like, 2 main characters with opposing ideas of what they wanna do, Um, I think that the very, very, very early stages of it, I was kinda kicking around an idea of having, like, a really like, a sort of, like, fish out of water for both characters in, like, one story kinda thing, where, yeah, I had, like, I think it was, like, a really rich person, like a noble or, like, a prince or something like that, getting involved with, like, a really poor person or, like, a commoner, um, and the idea was, like, it just felt kinda base to me, but I liked, like, the bones of that a lot, but then the idea of having somebody be taken prisoner, and wanting to escape, is it's just, like, a lot of conflict there already and, like, a lot to work with, but yeah, like, the general idea of, like, a jailer-prisoner relationship, um, was yeah, that was in my head for a little bit, but, then, I got this idea of, like, well, what if somebody murdered a king and committed regicide and then managed to escape, but then was caught. So like the biggest crime you could have committed in this society. Um, so yeah, that was definitely, and then it really kind of blossomed from there with like, like the masks, and then like having like this kind of bounty hunter group, but then having somebody that had kind of like mysteriously broken off of that bounty hunter group, so that the pair of them is kind of being chased in a way, and just like adding dynamics to it, and like going deeper with these characters and stuff. But yeah, it really did start with just that little nugget.
And how long did the first draft take that you sent originally to Seth?
Like almost 3 years, I think.
Oh,
And
so
I
yeah, so
gotta,
this has been kicking around for quite a while then.
yeah, yeah, and it's this entire time, like I mean, I haven't been writing like my entire life. I'm still like narrowing down my process and even like my style and stuff. Like, I mean, it's a huge learning process, and I think it's going to continue to be a learning process for my whole career. Um, But I've got they gave me it's like when bands put out, like, their first album, it's like they've got all the time in the world to work on it, and then they put out then the record label's like, "You gotta get the 2nd album out as soon as possible." That's kinda like where I'm at right now, where they're like, "That's great, this book is doing well, people seem to be pretty okay with this book, let's get this next one out, like, as fast as possible," and it's like, "Oh, holy shit." Like, it's also longer too,
It's like things just
so
got very real.
they did, yeah, yeah, there's a little more pressure, my publisher is very cool, they're very understanding, like, they're not, like, forcing they're not, like, sending me an email every morning that's like, "Where's the book? Where's the book?" But I do have deadlines now, and I do have, now an audience that wants the 2nd one,
Yeah,
and
it's
y
a great problem to have, I'm sure.
no, totally, it's a total champagne problem, but it is, like,
Yeah.
there is that little bit of extra pressure where it's like, "Ah, fuck," like, I hope that I can, I'm trying to make, the story not only gel with the first one, right? But also I want it to be better. Like I want it to be
Yeah.
bigger and better. And the sequel is it's a little more slowed down. It's a little bit more like we have a lot more opportunities for Angie to be learning things. She's not trapped in a wasteland with someone who doesn't give a shit about her. Like there's just more opportunity here for more world building. Um, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, slowing it down a little bit more. It's not a road trip story anymore. Um, we're expanding the world, we're expanding the characters, we're expanding the cast of characters. So doing all of that, like expanding on all of this, but under a tighter timeline. Um, you know, so the
Yeah.
first book was like very fast paced and pretty tightly wound with no timeline. And so now it's like kind of flipped.
Yeah. Now, how early on in the process did you come up with the first line? Because I think it's pretty incredible to start a book with stabbing a king in the neck, and then everyone can talk about it without it being a spoiler because it's the first sentence.
Right. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, well, it's funny because like for the longest time, the first line of the book was Angie was shit faced and about to get stabbed, which is the first line of chapter one, and that was the first. That was the beginning of the book for like a while. Was just Angie in this tavern, and then like through talking with my agent, um, I realized like because I had like two options, right? I mean, like I could do like kind of like inner dialogue type like flashback scenes almost throughout the book where Angie's like thinking about this event of her killing this guy, or I could like do a prologue and show it. And that's what I decided to do. But I didn't decide to do that until quite a bit later, actually, where I wrote out this whole prologue of her in this castle killing this guy and escaping. Um, which I'm really happy that I did that. I think it really like, it's a good thing that I did that for
Yeah, I'm
sure.
trying to think back because forever ago, you shared an early draft with some of the people in the Patreon Discord, which I'm part of.
Oh, cool,
And
yeah.
I remember I've read, like, the first 2 chapters, and I think it did start with her in the tavern, and I made a conscious decision to not continue because I think it was right around the time that you had said that you had gotten picked up and you couldn't give all the information yet, and I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna be patient, and I'm gonna wait for
Yeah.
the final version to come out and then go back and at some point I'll read where it started a little bit more." But I was like, I'm gonna wait for it to be
Yeah.
published.
Yeah, it was cool, like, having an audience already is, like, it's such a gift, it's such a huge advantage, um, and the process of being able to show people that, like, while I was still in the process of getting published and stuff was huge because 'cause I'd get some feedback, and I got some DMs and stuff that were some pretty honest feedback about things that really did help a lot, and, you know, like, writing a book is it's very much a solo effort for a lot of it, but that's one of the things that I've been learning throughout the formative parts of my career is, like, it really is there's a lot of team effort stuff that's going on, like, there's beta readers, there's your agent, there's your editor, there's your assistant editor, there's publicists, like, a lot of people are working behind the scenes to get this kinda stuff out, and, it's a lot more collaborative than I thought it would be, which is really really nice, honestly, sometimes because my nose is, like, so close to the project, so it was really, really helpful to be able to send that out to the Patreon, and people were like, "Oh, this is cool, but I'm excited to know more about, like, what's this?" Or, it was really neat.
Yeah, there's you've built a pretty cool community over there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of smart people over there, and there's a lot of people who have read a lot and have great knowledge.
Oh, yeah, like, yeah, having a built-in, tight-knit community, that reads as much as you do is hugely beneficial. Yeah, it's perfect, it's exactly what you want.
Now, one thing I wanted to ask you about because you touched on this a little bit on the podcast at one point, but I think I remember you saying that for anyone who isn't familiar with this, I know this from your podcast, but you used to be in a touring band,
Yeah.
and you mentioned that I think that's when you read or reread the Wheel of Time series and kind of got
Yeah.
heavier into fantasy. So, what was that like being on the road and having all that time? Did you start kind of coming up with ideas of writing yourself then, or did that come later?
Yeah, I brought my laptop on one of the last tours that I went on, because, I mean, I'd read Wheel of Time, I think I had read most of, like, Michael Sullivan's stuff, a lot of Stephen King, a lot of Robin Hobb, and really churning through all kinds of stuff. Because, like, yeah, a lot of the time that you spend when you're touring, like, I mean, playing shows is, like, 1% of the time, like, mostly it's just sitting in a van or sitting on a plane or sitting in a hotel room or sitting in a music venue. It's a lot of sitting and not really doing anything. So I was able to get through a lot of books. But yeah, like I don't really know. Like I wish I could like really pinpoint how I was feeling, but I I really thought like, I kind of want to make a go of this and write my own stuff. And I got all this time. Like why not? Like why not give it a crack? And it was really cool because the guys in the band that I was in, they knew what I was doing, and they were really supportive of it, and, they had seen how much I was reading and stuff, and so they were like, "Yeah, dude, go for it," like and none of them wanted to read it, obviously, 'cause and I'm glad they didn't not because it was pretty bad, but it was just me, yeah, just, like, taking a crack at, like, not even really writing books, but just, like, writing scenes out and fleshing out, like, just a lot of, like, the beginnings of a lot of things, and, um it was so like, some of the ideas, it was like, looking back on it now, it would be, like, this huge idea that I had, and then I'd write, like, a couple chapters and then do, like, some outlining and stuff, and then just kinda get bored of it and move on to something else, and I think that that's, like, how a lot of writers start out too, is that you're just trying to, like you're kinda, like, stretching the edges of what you think you can do, and You know, like a blank page can be kind of intimidating for sure, but also it's really liberating and really amazing that you can really just put down whatever you want. Um, it's frustrating for sure because it's just not really what you've been reading, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's not. Like I mean, um I think trying to write a scene and then reading like a scene that Michael Sullivan wrote, it's like there's a huge gap of quality there.
And I think it's also you're not ever going to be privy to what their initial first draft looked like. You're reading the ultimate polished product that's been through all the collaborative efforts you were just talking about. So it's like
Mhm.
you're comparing yourself as a beginner to an expert that's had, editors to help and their own beta readers and everything like that. So it's
Totally.
like
Yeah.
but it's probably in the moment. I imagine it's quite hard to like convince yourself of that. Like
Yeah, I find that, like, you just keep going, man, like, you just, I'll even now when I'm getting paid for it and there's deadlines and stuff, like, there's still so many parts of it that are just for the love of the game, like, like, maybe I know, like, this might not work, but I'm gonna continue with this scene anyway and see if I can get some gold out of those hills, and, you know, I try not to put, like, a ton of pressure on myself, sometimes I, crash out completely and, like, I'm just like, "I don't know why I'm doing this," but a lot of the time, it's like because I'm getting more familiar with this process and I'm getting more aware of like just how long this process takes and how much work goes into it. It does kind of alleviate a little bit of the pressure and like one of the best pieces of advice I ever got was from my agent, and he said, "Dude, you got to have fun with this. Like you have to have fun, and not necessarily that you have to make the book fun." Right. But it's like your process, like you need to like loosen up a little bit and try things out. And, you know, um, I try to, like, not really tell myself no too much. Like, don't get into this vibe where you're like, "No, that won't be good," or like, "No, don't do that," right? Because maybe it will, just type it up. You can put it in a different document or something later, if it's not gonna work. I mean, there's no real wasted time if you're trying,
yeah,
and
that's
so
that's a
that
great point.
yeah, yeah, it feels like wasted time. It could feel like it for sure. Like, I've definitely gotten to the end of like a writing session and been like, "Oh, what the hell did I just do? Did I just ruin this entire thing? Like, what the fuck?" But you can just select all and cut it, put it in a different document, save it for later. You know, I just did that a couple days ago. Like, I've had like I don't know, like 5,000 words of like this big long like conversation, and it just wasn't where the conversation like needed to be. Like placement wise, like in the structure of the story, it just felt out of place and just like really long and rambly. And I I realized like, man, if I just cut like most of this and just move the scene along, um, I can go back later in another draft or another revision and like pick out the parts of that conversation that I liked and put them in a different spot that feels like that's where it needs to be. So I never delete anything. Um, I make a point to yeah never delete anything and never tell myself no. Everything is just like in a constant refinement process.
Yeah, that seems like the best way to approach it. I saw someone recently on social media just talking about like he was just trying to encourage people to whatever it is they're doing. He's like, I adopted the mindset of why not more? It's like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
made a video and 1,000 people watched it. Why not more? Like I have useful information. Why wouldn't more people want to see it? And it's you're building a world, and it's like the more you have is even if you don't use it now, you may be able to pull it sometime later.
Yeah, and shaving something down is a lot easier than trying to add to it. And
Yeah, I would
what
imagine.
yeah, that's what I've noticed. It's like, I'm working on like a few different things right now, but one of the projects that I'm working on, I'm like deliberately trying to overwrite it, which I've never done before. Um, and it's an awkward feeling because like I know while I'm writing it, like this is gonna have to change or like this is gonna have to get cut for sure because this is either superfluous or it's contradictory or whatever. But I'm just letting it flow, like, I'm just letting it happen and just writing whatever I think, and, on the back end, like, revision-wise, yeah, it makes for, like, quite a bit of work, like, obviously, it'd be great if you could just do it perfectly the first time, um, but what I learned in the process of writing Edgy Kills a King, which is a very tightly wound book, and honestly, every author says this, but if I could go back, I would have added more to it. Like, I really wish that I could. Like, I think that as a debut, like it's a good length for a debut, but I do think that it would have been cool to just like have a few more breaths in that book and add some more things. And it was just like a process that I learned through the process of revising and getting my edits back and getting a lot more feedback from professionals was like adding things is rough. Like because when you're adding stuff to like a project that's already pretty far along, you're like, oh my god, am I screwing this up? Like, is this too much? Like, is this? But in the drafting process, it's like, yeah, go nuts. Like, write as much as you possibly can, and then you can take it down 10 or 20,000 words if you really need to.
Now, how much do you timeline? Like, if I recall correctly, this wasn't necessarily originally a trilogy
Yeah.
idea. So, like, now that it is, do you know how the 3rd book ends already and you're just
Mhm.
getting there?
Yeah. So, when uh when Tor bought the first book, I wanted it to be a standalone, and I felt like the ending was pretty is was ambiguous enough, but also pointed in a decent enough direction that it could have been a standalone. But then Tor said, "Well, we think that there's potential here for a sequel, and if you want, like, it'd be cool if you could do a duology, and then we'll do a third standalone because they bought 3 books." Um, and I think that the initial plan was to do like a duology and then have like a prequel or something for the Hawk or something like that, which I am also kind of loosely outlining right now. Um, but then, so I agreed to that, and I was like, yeah, I think we could do a sequel. That sounds cool. And then I went to go outline, and I was like, it was just no matter which way I did it, I was like, I think we need a trilogy
Yeah, there's
here.
just too much to tell in one more book.
Yeah, like, I could have probably crammed it, but it would've just felt like, even more tightly wound than the first book, and I think it would've just been, a little bit of wasted potential where it's like, we've got a cool story here, we've got a cool world. I've put these characters and potential characters and future characters into this situation, which I would love to explore even more. I mean, the general bones of this story is and the overarching trilogy is that we've got a fascistic theocratic government that's taking over, in a newly found industrial age for this for a long time more agrarian, like more kind of medieval place. And um I want to lean more into that. Like, I want to lean more into these ideas of uh like the great man history. Like, is one person really going to do it, or is it going to be more of like a team effort? Like, how does that team effort get realized when we've got all of this oppression going on? I mean, there's a lot that you can link to, like like our present day,
Yeah.
obviously. I mean, and so like I really want to dig into that from the point of view of a character who is constantly at odds and conflicted with herself, and not the like Darrow of Lycos or Katniss Everdeen, like, kind of character. Like, she Angie is really not that capable. Like, she's really been tossed right into this fray, and so, like, taking a really serious situation, like a paradigm shift, societally, and having one main character who's just kind of, like, all messed up about it, uh, I that's gonna take more than 2 books. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you kinda walked into something I wanted to ask because, obviously, I mean, there's been plenty of stories. It's common in a lot of stories for there to be kind of some type of uprising in unfair society,
Yeah,
but
totally.
this book, it does feel a lot more modern in the fact that it really does connect to, current times, and also, without getting into too many spoilers with this, but I mean, the hawk is also essentially dealing with a form of addiction,
Yeah,
which I
totally.
don't think I've read necessarily in a fantasy world before. What was that something that you purposely wanted to kind of bring into this world to make it more relatable to current times, or
Yeah,
it
I
kind of
mean,
happened?
yeah, like, this idea that drug addicts are monsters that need to be vilified, um, I just really personally disagree with that. I think that drug addiction it's a very, very multifaceted problem, obviously, but I do think that there's a very much like untalked about kind of like socioeconomic reason that a lot of people turned to drugs. And I think that um, the idea that these people are just like irredeemable monsters that need to be like shunned to the shadows is not helping anything. But doing that certainly helps the cause of a lot of very corrupt people, I'm digging a lot more into that in the second book. Um, the drug aspect of all of this is a big part of this trilogy. Um, but yeah, I mean, like I've dealt with addiction issues myself, not with like really hard drugs, but just with like nicotine and like food and stuff like, you know what I mean? And just everybody's got some kind of vice. But then also like the bigger part of it is that I have friends and family members who have it's gone totally sideways for them. And it's really it's a really hard thing to go through as a family member, but it's even harder for them.
Right.
My old podcast co-host Chad was dealing with a fentanyl addiction, and that's why we're not running the podcast together anymore. Is because he's still dealing with that. And I remember early on in our podcast relationship when he kind of like came clean to me about it the first time. It was a mess, but like I remember I was asking him like, "What's it like being addicted to this?" And he was like, "Man, imagine like the most sick you've ever been, and there's only one thing that's gonna fix it. Like Gatorade's not gonna fix it, sleep isn't gonna fix it.
Right.
It's the on." And then and we talked about it some more, and I like was really um like thinking of like I live in Portland, Oregon, and you live in New York. I mean, these big cities where there is a lot of drug issues, and like someone gets like their car broken into or their house broken into, or like a store window will get broken or something. And I'm not saying like these, you know, everyone's 100% innocent or like whatever, but it is like it is worth thinking about. Like imagine, like try to empathize and put yourself in their shoes. Like, imagine like you're the most hungover you've ever been in your entire life, but you can't order McDonald's, you can't lay in your bed, you don't have friends that are gonna come help you. You're alone on the street against the elements, sleeping in a fucking tent if you're lucky,
Yeah.
and the only thing that's gonna help you feel any better is $20 worth of heroin, right? And it's miserable. It's so horrible, and, like, the fact that, like, I feel like drug addicts are used as kind of like this, like, consequence to not working, right? It's like, "Oh, well, you need to make sure you've got a good job or else you're gonna end up like a drug addict on the street," and
Right.
it's like, like, this is all it feels even more gross that, like, the powers that be or, like and not to mention we have, like, a private prison system and all that other bullshit, but, like, it's like it's very easy to see that where these people could be getting help and empathy, we're instead using them as a scapegoat or using them as an example of like what will happen to you if you don't toe the line. And so, like all of that to say, I think that using that in that kind of uprising, and using that as as one of many examples of this, um, you know, authoritarian regime that's taking over, which has been done in so many fantasy books, right? I mean, like it's been done over and over again. But I wanted to attack it from like that angle of like the sheer like cruelty and like them taking advantage of poor people and oppressed people and marginalized people and stuff.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who I was telling what the book was about after I finished it, and they were like, "Well, that sounds kind of like exactly what's going on in modern times," and it's like, yeah, that was, like, what
Yeah.
was really cool about this is it is very relevant, but in a fantasy setting that a lot of people, I think, are more comfortable exploring these kind of things because it is a created world, and it that kind of takes some of the stakes away for some people to really pay attention to it all, I think. But
Yeah.
I think that I can understand why you would wanna have put more in, but I do think it was a great length for your debut
Thank you. Yeah.
novel, and I also think it was a great length just for the simple fact that fantasy does tend to be very chunky because of world building, and I don't think, like, this world didn't need a ton of it for the story that you were telling at that time, and it was kinda nice to be able to, fly through a fantasy book in, like, 3
Yeah.
days. It was,
Totally. Yeah. And also, I mean, like the it's Like, I wanna chalk a little bit of this up to the narrative structure that I chose, but, like, some of it also is, like, my skill as a writer is still improving too, and, um, I think that, one of the main challenges of this book, in the sense of the world building, is that the 2 main characters in this book, the 2 people you're spending 90% of the time with, already know a lot about this world. You don't have a Watson character here that you can impart all of this, like, until now unknown knowledge via the main character to the reader. So, like, that mechanic, while interesting and presented a lot of conflict for dialogue and for plot, also presents a kind of a difficult. It's hard to get a lot of information across to when it, like you just read Harry Potter, but it's like if Harry went on a road trip with Snape.
Yeah.
It's like, Snape isn't gonna be like, "Well, Harry, let me explain every single thing to you so that you understand everything about what's going on." He'd be like, "No, fuck off. I don't care about you. I don't care about you being informed." And it would have felt like very weird, I think, and I did try to do that a couple times, like having, the Hawk kinda, like, dumping a lot on Angie, but it just didn't feel natural. It felt like it was purely for reader benefit, which felt like it was bogging the story down, but I do think now, having said all of that, I do think that when you're writing fantasy, you still want to connect with the reader and, like, inform them of things, so I think that, like, as my skill as a writer starts to improve, I'll start to be able to balance that when those kinds of situations come up. There are different ways that you can show a lot too, that's not just dialogue. Um, but yeah.
But I think in doing that, especially for your first, book, you avoid something that I think a lot of fantasy readers complain about is or even sci-fi, but when world building turns into you can blatantly tell that you're being told this because you need to know it rather like you're being told
Yeah.
rather than shown.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
that can take you out of a story because it's like, well, okay, don't love this. So you kind of got
Oh,
to
it's happened
avoid
to me
that.
many times, yeah.
Yeah, again, there's
Yeah.
plenty of examples.
Mhm.
Don't even need to name them. I'm sure everyone can think of at least one off the top of their head
Yeah.
for whatever books they've read. But doing the story the way that you did, you kind of got to avoid that, which is probably easier for you. But now in book two, you probably have a little bit of world building to do. But I'm excited to
Yeah.
see it.
But I'm cool with it, like, it's been a nice, like, it's been really refreshing, honestly, to just dump a little bit more and to, like, just play around in this world a little bit more and have some more fun and, like, do a few kinda like, "This was like this because this was like this," You can do that sometimes, it's okay,
Yeah,
and I think that what I didn't I'm like, I think that in this first book, I was, like, deathly afraid of the word "was." I don't like it. I notice it, like, when I'm reading even, but it's such a silly thing because it's like, "Dude, you're trying to tell a story here. Tell the story." Like, you don't have to dig this deep into the mechanics of it, and you don't have to like, not every single sentence has to be perfect, and, like, loosen up, have fun, like my agent told me, and I would impart that, advice to everybody else too, like, the story comes first, like, the immersion. If you're writing fantasy, like, you want people to be immersed, and I think I did a good job with it. This is the first book for sure. But, you always think about ways that you could improve it and stuff.
yeah, yeah, which is fair. Now that actually brings me to something I wanted to ask because I've noticed this trend. You're the third author I've had on that also has a musical background.
Hmm, yeah.
So it's had me thinking in recently since I invited you on, but what is it like going from an art form where you once you have made the music, you're out touring, you get pretty instant feedback when you're performing,
Yeah,
like to now where it's like your art is something that's going to take years before you get the feedback from the fans.
sure,
What's that
yeah.
adjustment been like?
Um, I don't know, like, I feel like as a reader, like, as somebody who's been ingesting this stuff for a long time and then, um, entering into the reviewing space too and getting more into this community and stuff, like, the main takeaway that I've gotten from it is that just everybody has their own opinions about things and everybody has their own preferences about things and so do I. And that is like one of the really beautiful things about this art form and about many art forms is that it's also subjective and um like I kind of just I kind of like not really worrying about it too much like um I did the best possible book that I could write, and I'm working on the next possible best possible book I can write, and, like, time will tell if it really resonated with, like, a bunch of people or just, like, a few, but yeah, all I can really do is just, like, do my very best, and if people connect with it, that's really amazing, and if people don't, it's because they have different preferences and they connect with other stuff, and it's just kinda the way it is.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
everybody especially when it comes to books, not every book is for every person. I just ran into that.
Yeah.
I DNF'd a book that is, like, universally loved, and
Come on, which one was it?
Lonesome Dove.
Oh, yeah, I DNF'd that a little bit ago too. Yeah.
I the comments when I literally made a I got to 500 pages, which is just
Oh, yeah.
percent, so it's
Yeah.
like, I feel like I gave it a real effort,
You did.
but then when I was like, "Should I continue this?" A lot of people were like, "Yeah," and, like, by the time I made the video, I was like, I kind of already knew. I was like, "This just isn't working for me."
Yeah, I
And,
felt the same.
it's like someone in the comments told me to go read Dr. Seuss if I don't like that because it's a masterpiece, and it's like, that was actually pretty funny, I'll give you that, but, like, not every book is for every person.
No, they're not. I mean, and I think that you can also like appreciate, like, I mean, with Lonesome Dove in particular, like, I can really appreciate. Speaking of immersion, I mean, like, that's a super immersive book. I think that like McMurtry's descriptions of like the desert and um, just this entire setting was just like that's what I really liked about the book. But what I didn't really like was how long the plot took to get to where it was going, and um, you know, the I just didn't really care at all about any of the characters, which is so funny because it's like such a like people
That's
celebrate it
exactly
for its characters, you know?
That was exactly my takeaway too, though, is people were like, "What aren't you liking about it?" And I was like, "I literally do not care about a single character." And I was like, at this
Yeah,
point, I wish I hated one of them because I would feel something, but I'm just
yeah,
so uninterested and not at all invested in them.
yeah,
And it's some people told me they were like, "Oh, just get through the first 200 pages, it gets better." I was like, I gave it 300 more, and it still didn't grab me because it's just there was no stakes for me because I didn't care.
sure. But it's that is like again, like the really beautiful thing about this medium is like, McMurtry wrote that book for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Like McMurtry I'm sure at least for the most part, he was happy, or at least that was the best he could do. He felt like that was the best he could do, right? To a certain extent. And um, it's like a lot of people connected with that. Then a lot of people didn't. And it is just like it's a very like liberate. I thought I would be honestly, like, more upset about because 'cause I've seen some negative reviews for And She Kills a King and stuff, obviously, and I thought I'd be, like, more upset about it, but it really hasn't stung, like, as much as I thought it would. I'm not saying, like, "Oh, like, I got this, like, really thick skin, I don't care," but it's more like, yeah, I mean, like, that's just the way it is. Like, I mean, there are books that I think are absolutely incredible. I'll give a good example, Eilington's new book, The Will of the Many, I thought was just outstanding, like, just on every level, like, the world building, the character development, the plot, like, everything, like, the writing is really, really good, the pace is great. I think it's a fantastic book, and if you go online right now, you can look at one-star reviews that are like, "This is the most piece of shit, horrible book I've ever read in my life," like, and they'll just and not even just that, they'll write, like, paragraphs of, like, why they think that it's so bad, and I'll even, like, agree with some of it, and it just really goes to show that, like, it's an art form. It's just like anything else. Yeah. So
I'm with
it's
you there. I'm on the side of I thought The Will of the Many was fantastic. I flew through that book too.
yeah, it's really good. But like I can also like reading through one-star reviews, people would say stuff and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I guess that is kind of true." You
I
know?
do enjoy reading one-star reviews. I'll read one-star reviews before I read five-star reviews for a book that I'm considering because I often find that they get very specific about what they didn't like about it,
Yeah,
and I'll be like,
yeah,
"Oh, I enjoy that, so I'm pretty sure I'll like this book." Like, but I
yeah.
get why someone else might not.
Yeah, I mean, it like I said, it is very liberating when you go into a project knowing that you're not gonna make everybody happy. So make yourself happy. Like it's your art,
Yeah.
like it's your expression. Like this is, and chiefly what I'm trying to do with what I try to do with Angie Kills a King, what I'm trying to do with the rest of the work that I'm doing is like I'm trying to write stuff that I would want to read. Like what would I want to happen next? That's the whole point of all of this. It's not what everybody else want to happen next. It's like what would I want? And I don't mean it to sound like selfish or like anything like or arrogant or anything like that, but it's just like if you already know that like a bulk of the people are gonna not like it, then do what you want to do. You can't please everybody. So
Yeah,
and
that's
it makes
absolutely true.
yeah, and I think that it goes back to like having fun with it. It gives me a chance to have fun with it and um, you know, do some soul searching and like communicate with myself in a very public way, which if that's not art, I don't know what is.
Yeah,
So
that's very true. Now, how has the back end of this gone with the promoting and the getting to go to events with the likes of
mm,
Joe Abercrombie and
mm. It's been great. Yeah, like that tour was really awesome. And it was my very first tour. But I thankfully have done that kind of traveling before. Actually, it was a lot nicer because like everything was just itineraried and taken care of, and I just had to get on planes and show up at hotels. And it was actually a lot easier than touring in a shitty indie rock band. But yeah, it was really cool. Like, I mean, the only thing that I didn't like, super love about it is just like it's a lot of time alone. Um, and I don't really have like a huge problem being alone, but it's a lot of like you're in an airport alone, you're on an airplane alone, you're back in an airport alone, you're in a lift alone, you're at a hotel alone, and then you go to an event, there's 100 people that all want to talk to you, and then
yeah.
you go back to your hotel alone, and it's so like there's a little whiplash there. Um, but man, like yeah, I mean, it was I'm super grateful for like even going on a tour. I mean, like a lot of debut authors don't even go on a tour. And so being able to go to these events and have people show up and it's incredible. Like I'm under no delusion that this is like a super normal thing for debut authors to go through. So I'm really grateful for it. And you know, seeing people that were already at the event that I had read the book and enjoyed it and they wanted to talk about it a little bit. It's just huge. Like I mean, it's like such a huge dream come true. And it's trippy, like, it's surreal, it was very surreal, like, definitely, like, sitting on stage with Joe Abercrombie is very surreal, like, he is a huge hero of mine, you know, I mean, I had some time, just the 2 of us in a green room talking to him for a little bit, and it's just like, "Holy shit," like, I wouldn't even be here without this guy, like, it's so cool, and then, like, meeting people who are legitimately not only enthusiastic, but, like, supportive, like, they're very supportive of this job that I'm doing. And, I also just like want to shout out to everybody who, if you're listening right now and you tried the book out even and didn't like it, like, thank you for it. Like, we all have the same amount of, of finite time, and it's really difficult to prioritize stuff. And the fact that you prioritized my book out of like thousands, and gave it a shot and like spent your money on it and stuff, I just really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, that's very true too, because there is I think I saw a stat once that there's, like, thousands of new books published every single day. There is literally infinite books out there.
By authors who are like, have proven themselves to be reliable and consistent too, and then you pick up a debut and it's like, I don't know what the hell this is gonna be. And then to pick up that debut, put your time into it, and then DNF it also is like, that's huge. Like, that's a I really I honestly appreciate it, I mean, I wish that it would have tickled you the way that it tickled me and other people too, but it's just not the way that it works. So, and that's just part of it. But I still appreciate it.
Now outside of this trilogy, um, the other books that you're working on, are they in the fantasy genre or something completely different?
So I'm on submission right now with a horror novella, um, which it's about like 130, 140 pages. Um, I don't want to talk too much about it, but I was pretty proud of it. Like, I wrote it pretty quickly, um, and my agent even really liked it. So we'll see what happens with that. I would like to branch into horror too. If T. Kingfisher can do it, I can do it. Like if if T. Kingfisher can do fantasy and horror, then I'll do it too. But I'm also working on a like more of like a cozy fantasy. Um, I'm like still in the first draft of it. That's the one I'm trying to like kind of overwrite. Um, and I'm happy with it. Like, it's kind of like zany and like, but that book takes place in a shared universe with like two other series that I'm planning also.
Oh, that's
Uh,
very cool.
yeah, yeah, and that one is it's a universe, or I guess universe. It's like a continent or planet where the Dark Lord has already been vanquished, and everything's pretty much fine. Uh,
Well,
so
that's
so
a
like
cool take. You really get to
yeah.
see what it's like after the Dark
Yeah,
Lord
like
is
they
defeated.
kinda succeeded, and now they're kinda picking up the pieces and things are going okay. But the one thing that I wanna explore is, like, you can still have these stories, like these impactful fantasy stories with lots of magic and lots of immersion and high character stakes and all this stuff without a Dark Lord. You can like, life goes on after the Dark Lord has been vanquished, and I do think it'd be really cool to kinda, like one of the side stories, well, not side stories, but one of the series that I've been like outlining and kind of lightly working on, um, is a like a service that goes out and kind of like a almost like a bomb squad kind of like goes and takes care of like these leftover dark artifacts from after like this big giant situation.
That's
But like
awesome.
yeah, but like the problem is that things keep getting better for this society. So like there's fewer and fewer dark artifacts. So like their business is kind of failing. So like I'm kind of like messing with that and just like trying to open up these new ideas of kind of like where could we go once this thing has already happened? Like what would a society look like if they had succeeded in um, tearing it down? A lot of stories end with the big bad going away.
Yeah,
You
most of
know,
them, in fact.
yeah, and that's kind of what I did with Angie Kills a King too, but it's just on the flip side of like things just got worse.
Yeah.
you know, like things get and they keep getting a lot worse too.
Horror, yeah, horror is a genre that I've gotten into more recently that is very fun because I guess I used to think of it mostly as just Stephen King. I
A
didn't read
lot,
a whole lot of horror,
yeah, yeah,
outside of Stephen King until the last couple of years. T. Kingfisher is one of them.
yeah.
I've read quite a few actually, Kingfisher ones. What was the one that's I always forget the name. I'm bad with titles, but the one that was based off of an Edgar Allan Poe story.
I don't know. I don't know which one that is.
That has to do with like mushrooms taking over.
Something at night.
Either way, but I've read both of those. There's like I'm terrible with titles. With series
It's pretty
especially.
good, I just can't remember, yeah. What Moves the Dead? I think is that what it was?
Yep, yep.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, with me, it's like once I get into a series, I'm like, I'll know the title of the first book, and then to me, it's just book 2, 3, 4, 5,
Oh,
6.
man, I can rattle off, like, all the Wheel of Time books in order and, like,
Ugh, yeah.
all that.
I'm terrible with names too, is even within series, it's like an ongoing joke with, my book talk followers and on here is I read a ton of book ones, and
Yeah,
then
no, I did that for a while too, yeah, like,
because
you
I
want
wanna
you
read
wanna
everything.
yeah, exactly, like, you wanna see what you like and see what you don't like, I mean, like, I remember I read, like, the first Mistborn book, the first, Powder Mage book, and the first book in Jim Butcher's, Codex Alera all in, like, 3 weeks or something, and I didn't keep going with any of them.
And I've had people
Um,
be like, "Oh, how do you remember all the character names, and how do you remember everything?" And it's like, the simple answer is, I don't.
yeah. You'll get it as you keep going, like
Usually, I'll read a brief summary of book 1 before I start book 2,
yeah,
and then within a few chapters, it all comes back to me. Like, I'll remember the
totally,
places and the character names once I'm back in that world, but I kind of do. Like, once I finish a book, it's like I kinda just delete it, and I need the bandwidth for the next book.
totally, yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
I don't have the memory for all of them all at once, so it's just like I focus in I'm fully in it when I'm in it, and then, like, I'll come back. That's
Totally,
also why I love the idea of you having a universe with multiple series because, like, that's why one part of why I love, like, Robin Hobb or The
yeah,
Expanse
or Ghost
or
Rare.
yeah, anything that's just a ton of books because it's like once I do the world building and once I get comfortable in a world, it's like I don't wanna leave. I don't want it to end.
Have you read Discworld, Terry Pratchett's stuff?
I haven't, funny enough, I just commented on someone who mentioned Discworld, yesterday on TikTok, and I was like, "I've been meaning to get to it, but I never know where to start because everyone has a different opinion. I think I just need to pick one and go for it."
I would start with Guards, personally, or
That's
Mort.
what they said too.
Yeah, Guards or Mort are, like, pretty much the spot, or you could do Small Gods too, which is more of like a that's not technically, but, like, it's not in as big of a series, like, Guards starts the City Watch series, and Mort starts the Death series. You could also go with Equal Rights, which is the first book I think in the Witches series. I could be wrong about that, but yeah, that is like a good example of um, in the Disc world, like there isn't really like a Dark Lord, like there isn't really like a it's just like the much smaller situations that these smaller characters get themselves into, which I think is just like so. I'm so enamored by that idea. I probably won't be as like funny as Terry Pratchett, but
Yeah, I've
he's a
heard that
master.
they're very, very funny.
Yeah, they're just. I mean, like I've definitely it's made me laugh out loud, but like a lot of it is just like it's just so clever. Like it's just so like It's
Witty.
it's 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 witty, it's like witty situations, witty resolutions, witty dialogue, witty prose. He does footnotes in a lot of his books and stuff that are just like it's so funny and like like the way that I describe Pratchett also is like he's such a confident writer. Like you can just feel it. Like he's just having such a blast with what he's writing and he's like so there for it. And it's like it's so there's so much personality in it. And it's just like this is like a man's whole ass brain like put into a fantasy world. It's so cool. You'll love it. Yeah, give it a shot.
Yeah, I'll have to get a couple and just dive in. I also try to do that too. Like I haven't started the Wheel of Time yet because I only have like 2 or 3 books,
Mhm.
and I do feel like some of these series, it's like I want like I'm not gonna rush through them, but I want to have the next one for very much a mood reader. So it's like I want to have the menu available when I want to read it.
Yeah, Wheel of Time is like definitely one of those. It's like one of those pillars of fantasy that like despite its length, it's just like once you're like 5 books into it, I don't know, like you just gotta finish it. It's like if you're like 500 episodes into One Piece, it's like you gotta keep watching One Piece. You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not particularly good at DNFing books, so
oh, I
um
do it like 6 times a day. Like I do it all the time. Yeah.
literally I just DNF'd my first book ever this year.
Really?
And
Yeah.
it wasn't Lonesome Duff. It was actually what was it called? It was an old sci-fi book called Ringworld.
Oh, Niven.
Yeah, it was just
Mhm.
like I liked the idea of it, but it's just I
It's
really
pretty
like
cool.
yeah,
It's pretty cool.
I like the ideas of old sci-fi, but sometimes it's the writing style, and then sometimes it's just like I get it, they were super misogynistic back then, but it's like get it
Yeah,
gets old very
yeah.
quickly.
I
Like,
would stay away from like Heinlein.
yeah,
You might like Arthur C. Clarke if you're trying to read some like older. I find that his stuff is like
I
much
think
more like focused.
I've read 1 or 2 of his.
Childhood's End is amazing. It's like one of the best sci-fi books I've ever read.
I think
Um,
one of the cooler I can't remember who wrote it. It was called I think it was called The Way Station. I'm trying to think if that was Clark or not. But it was basically
mm,
about this guy on a farm where he was like a railway stop on an intergalactic like transportation line.
that's cool.
And he like never aged to
Simak from
yeah, there we
Fantastic
go.
Three. Yeah, Clifford Simak. Yeah.
That was a really cool one and it didn't have some of the, the pitfalls of old sci-fi.
Yeah, like DNFing books I feel like is maybe that's like one of the reasons why I'm cool with so many like if people would DNF my book, it's like, yeah, I mean I do it I do it all the time. Yeah, like I do it with stuff that um like you said with Lonesome Dove, where like I do it with stuff that people are like, this is like one of the best books I've ever read, and then I get like 100 pages in and I'm like, it's not one of the best books I've ever read. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely not.
That's why it's like so many people are like, "Oh, this is one of my favorite books of all time." I literally just saw a TikTok about that the other day. I was like, "In their top 7 all-time favorite books," and I was like, "Man, it's crazy how different we experience life."
Yeah, I mean, well, one of the reasons that I have, like, I mean, like, if you see behind me, like, I have like a bunch of books, and like, I mean, I've read this wall is like mostly stuff that I've read, and then I've got like another shelf here of like, um, either stuff I've DNF'd or things I haven't read, like my TBR. But I typically, unless I like really am like, nope, that is nope, whatever this is, like I am not interested. If I DNF something, I typically will keep it. And maybe it's just not the right time. I mean, that happened to me with I just recently finished Swan Song by Robert McCammon. which is a freaking awesome book, but I tried it like twice and I don't know. I just wasn't doing it. And then one day I sat down with it again and just before I knew it, like I'd read like 100 pages and I wanted to keep going. And yeah, I think something that doesn't get talked about very much. I don't know why, but it's just, I think some stuff you're just like not really in the mood for. It's not even
Yeah,
necessarily a preference thing. It's like a stage of life thing,
yeah,
you know?
absolutely, and it can even be a day-to-day genre thing where it's like that's
Yeah.
why I usually have a couple books going at once, like, currently, my main focus is, reading The Reformatory, um,
That book is
and
awesome. That book
and
is really cool.
before that, I flew through Martyr in, like, 2 or 3 days. That book was amazing by,
Murder.
Kaveh Akbar.
I never even heard of that before.
Really good.
Looking up.
But then at night, like, I usually listen to something sci-fi on audio. Like, I'm currently listening to I'm on the 3rd book, so it's book 3 to me, but it's in a series called, The Saga of the Seven Sons by Kevin J. Anderson.
Oh, you're reading Anderson. Look,
Yeah.
that's like, man, yeah, that guy's written like a million books.
So many. He's written
Yeah,
in the Dune universe, he's written in the
yeah.
Star Wars universe.
Oh, a bunch of
This was
stuff. Yeah,
this was his 7-book series, and then he's got a prequel series now, and it's to me, it's just, like, it's very interesting, it's space opera, it's I would call it sci fantasy, and it's from the early 2000s. Um, it's very cool, though, but it's like, I just hop in and out of that for a few chapters a night. I don't know if it would be, like, my main book, but it's fun to, like, wind down the day with, and I really do I think, though, especially being a mood reader, it's just, like, sometimes I'm not in the mood for sci-fi today, but I might be tomorrow.
totally. Yeah. Did you read Peter Hamilton's Commonwealth? The first book is called Pandora's Star.
No, it's on my list, though.
Yeah,
I've read that that's one of, like, the most expansive,
yeah,
like, space
yeah.
operas that it's just really, really quality stuff.
It's so funny, man, because like it's just such a good example of where it's like a lot of times when I DNF stuff, it's like I'm just like what we're talking about. It's like I'm just not in the mood for it, but I know it's a good book. Like
Yeah.
the same thing with Pandora's Star. Like I think I read like 60 pages of it or something, and I was just like, nope, not right now. Like I don't know, this is a lot. These books are like 900 pages long, and I just don't want to do it right now. But I know it's good, so I'm gonna keep it. Like I'm positive this will be a good book. Just not right now.
Yeah,
I'll read Halo.
they are the stereotypical '90s mass market with the super tiny font, like, there is a
Yeah.
lot in them.
They're so long. It's like that, that's no holding back right there.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think that's probably a series that I'll make sure I get on audio first so I can immersive read it.
it's so wild how many books there are, man. Like, even just if you just like if you're like for a whole year, you're like, I just want to read science fiction. It's like, all right, well, you
Yeah,
can read
I've been
400 of them and you won't even crack it. Like, it's so wild.
I started this year on a heavy sci-fi theme. I Last year was the first year that I got into all of what Book Talk offers, and I got into some, like, group reads with friends I've made on Book Talk for the smutty stuff.
Nice.
Uh,
Read the
um,
smutty stuff, boys.
no,
Read the smutty stuff.
some of them are so fun. Like,
Yeah.
I started with Ice Planet Barbarians, and it's
Oh yeah.
ridiculous in some
I love
ways.
it. That's a pretty good sci-fi story, actually.
It's not
I
bad.
Yeah,
It's
like
really
the
not.
the
I've read
memes
2 of them.
around it. Yeah, like I really wasn't expecting much out of it, and then I was like, damn, this is a good book.
I did a buddy read with my friend Jenny, and we read, Butcher and Blackbird. And she
Yeah, I
went
gotta
into it,
read
she
it.
reads romance, but she kind of thought that she was gonna almost hate read it, I think. And I was just there for like, all right, everyone's talking about this last year. So I was like, let me see what this is about. And I was like, it's a slow burn romance. Like nothing smutty happens until 75% in. And it's like, this is a pretty solid book.
Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, I think I always encourage like you know, heterosexual men like or just men and all men just read romance, man. Like read it.
Yeah.
Like it's good. It's good shit. Don't like completely it's like closing yourself off to like an entire genre of music.
Yeah.
Like why? Why would you do that? Like there's probably a lot of good stuff in there. Like, I mean, at least dig into it for a second before you like completely don't knock it till you try it.
And Book Talk absolutely opened my eyes to like I had never heard of Akatar until Book Talk. I still haven't read it. I
Yeah.
don't know if that one's for me. But
I think they're cool. I've read all 5 of them. Like, yeah,
yeah,
they're
but
solid.
I've read I've read all over the place, but the one that got me though is actually I think you might have mentioned it at one point too was The Dragon's Bride by Katie Roberts.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one too.
Oh
Yeah.
man, I don't know. That one was too much for me.
Was it too much? Oh, I love
Yeah.
that book. Yeah, I read the Kraken one too. Yeah, Katie Robert rocks. But
The
yeah, like
writing was good, but I was just like some of those scenes were too much for me.
I don't know, I really like sex, so, like, I like, I'm down to read about it, like, I'm
I do
like
think a lot of guys close themselves off to it, and it's like I think Book Talk has shown a lot of like there's a subsection that would I think be considered like Book Talk bros where they've only read like 80s fantasy and stuff. And I've seen a lot of them have dipped their toes into romance stuff too, and they've all enjoyed it. Like there's some great romance
yeah.
books out there.
I mean, I think it's just like, dude, there's some some books you'll like and some books you won't, and you gotta try stuff out. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
that is one of the really cool things about the Book Talk community, the Bookstagram community and stuff is there's a lot of encouragement to just read outside your genre. I mean, like, I haven't read very many Westerns, and then I read Lonesome Dove, and I was like, "Ah, eh." But I'm not gonna, like, never read a Western again. Like, try out some Zane
Yeah.
Grey, you know? So, like, try some different stuff out.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of like Western movies, so I was skeptical of Lonesome Dove, but it was so universally loved from everybody that I know that I was like I even read 5-star reviews that are like, I don't even like Westerns and I love this. I was like, all right, this is gonna be cool.
Yeah.
And then now I'm like, maybe I'll wait a while
So
before I
weird. It's
try
so weird how
another
that
Western.
happens. Yeah, but,
What what's another one that ever Blood Meridian? Isn't that a
oh,
Western?
yeah. I've read a few McCarthy books, but I still haven't read Blood Meridian.
I've only read The Road.
Okay,
That
yeah.
that one was that
Child of God is pretty good. That one's, like, nice and short and really powerful. Um, yeah, he's amazing.
I liked his writing a lot in The Road, so I would feel I think if I gave his Western a try, I might
Yeah.
it is, but it's like he's quite good at it.
Well, and then there's, like, what's that trilogy? He has a trilogy. It's, like, The Crossing, Cities of the Plain, or All the Pretty Horses, or
Oh, yeah, yeah.
whatever. I can't remember what that trilogy is called, but yeah, I mean, it's wild. Like, there is just no shortage of incredible stuff to read, and, like, I really can, credit, like, n the amount that I've read to being even, like, remotely being able to put out some quality stuff is just having read so much. Like, and that's why, like, I mean, I wish I had more time to read now, because I was reading, like, 10 or 12 books a month before I started really cracking down on writing, and now it's like I get lucky if I finish, like, 2 or 3 books in a month.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that the writing takes up a lot of the time.
It's so much time, man.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like, it takes forever. Like, it takes like, when I'm revising right now, like, 3 or 4 pages I can type 3 or 4 pages in, like, I don't know, 45 minutes. Like, it's like, it's not gonna be amazing, but, like, I can get
Right.
the slop down. But when I'm revising, it's like 3 or 4 pages it can take me, like, 3 or 4 hours. Like, it takes forever to get through this stuff. It was, like, deleting stuff and rereading it and changing it, and then before I know it, it's, like, 1 in the morning. My sleep schedule is fucked. My sleep schedule is so bad right now. Like, I go to bed at, like, 4 AM, wake up at noon. Like,
I do a lot of that too. I stay up till 2 a.m. a lot. I have a
what do you
I have a teenage daughter though, so she stays up late too and sleeps in. So it kind of like
Hey, what do you run
ruins my
for?
schedule. I do some gig work and I do some stuff online. I actually I got injured 7 years ago, so I have like a disability where I can't really stand or walk too
Oh,
well.
wow, yeah.
So I screwed up my left ankle. I've got something called CRPS, complex
What's
regional pain syndrome. It's
oh,
basically like
yeah.
I usually just tell people it's nerve damage because no one's ever heard of
Sure, yeah,
CRPS,
totally.
but it's a little bit more than that. But it's essentially just bad nerve pain that never goes away.
Is this like if you put weight on it, or is it, like, all the time?
It's all the time. So
Oh,
it's like,
sucks, man, I'm so sorry.
yeah,
Like,
it's I appreciate it. It's rough. It's like I did DoorDash for a while, but I can't. I use a cane, so it's like I needed a helper with me, and it's like,
I've totally done DoorDash before, and, like, I hated it. I hated it so like, having to deal with restaurants and, like,
yeah.
food orders and stuff, like, yeah, it's brutal.
But it's like it was cool because I had just moved, so it's like I learned all of the area that I'm in now because I'm just
Sure.
outside the city. And, like, it was cool for that, but it was like getting someone to help me is like I needed someone to go to the restaurant because it's like, especially if there's drinks, like with a cane, I can't juggle food or drink.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So it's like I
Jesus.
do. I do a little bit here and there online, and
Totally.
um, I sell a lot of books.
Yeah,
I get a lot of books, and like I've had an Amazon store before where like you send them in, and
totally.
they handle everything, and then like anytime I see lots of like old sci-fi and fantasy books, I scoop them up and like I pick through what I'm gonna keep, and then everything else goes on Pango,
Totally. Yeah, I was selling books on Pango for a little bit there too.
and then
Uh,
hoping to build this podcast into something too. It's
yeah, man. Yeah.
starting off small and just kind of building a community, and it's been awesome so far. Is the main reason I started this podcast actually is I got injured in 2017. So until like last year, I really just felt kind of lost. I was like, all of my hobbies were gone.
Yeah, of course.
Didn't
Yeah.
really feel like I was passionate about anything outside of like being a parent. Didn't really care for anything. So book talk got me back into reading much heavier because I was just an occasional reader in those years that I was injured, like if the first few years. And
Man,
so
just
it's like,
another reason to be grateful for this community, man. It's like it's
yeah,
such an amazing community. It's so cool.
it is, and so it's like so as I've gotten into it, it's like I've realized I have a real passion for books, and I have a passion for content creation too. Like, I don't think I'm the best at it by any means, but I have fun with it. But I thought that like a long form platform like this would be an awesome way to talk to other people about, what makes them tick. Like I've had people on one of the other things I've gotten into is watches. So it's
Oh,
like
cool.
I've
Yeah.
had people on whose main content on TikTok is watches. I've talked to a couple people about photography because I've gone back into photography in the last this year actually. With
Yeah.
the help of the book talk community, that a bunch of them came together and
That's so fucking cool. Oh my
yeah,
god, I love that. That's
they
so
gave me money so that I could buy a camera, and it was
ah,
blown away by that. But so it's like this has just been like a really cool space to talk to what people are passionate about because everybody's got their thing, and I love hearing about it. And
yeah,
it
totally.
tends to be so far most of the guests have been authors because the biggest thing
Reading,
I'm
yeah.
into is reading. But like I've had other content creators on, and just even hearing their path to book talk is like my guest this week. She started years ago on YouTube with makeup,
Yeah.
where she had a channel with like makeup tutorials and about makeup products and stuff. And now she's on book talk killing it. She's got like a super fun account.
Yeah, I mean, with content creation, like it's just like with anything else. It's just, you start before you're ready and I mean, if you go back and look at, my really, really old content, like I would re-edit the hell out of those videos. Like there's so much like dead air in them and the lighting's bad. And,
Yeah.
like, I mean, I'd like to be that thin again. That'd be sick. But
Same.
it's really like pizza.
Yeah, me
But
too.
yeah, dude, it's fucking awesome. But yeah, like, I mean, if you go back and look at that old stuff, I mean, I wasn't quite ready to put out really good stuff, but you get better at it. You learn. It's just like with everything else, you learn the process and you just put the time in and stay consistent with it. And I mean, if I was to, if you, some unsolicited advice, I guess, like if you want it, I mean, like just
Absolutely.
dude, stay as honest as possible. Like, stay honest. Don't lie about reading books. Don't lie about
Oh yeah.
don't do it. Don't say that, like you like something just because everyone else does. Don't do any of that shit. Like, be yourself. Because people are gonna, it's just like what I was talking about with, right, with putting books out and getting reviews and stuff. It's like the only way you're gonna survive when you're putting yourself out there like this is to be as much authentically yourself as you possibly can. Um, because people are gonna react negatively to anything. And so you
Yeah.
don't like, why put the extra effort in to like put on like a persona or like put on like a face or something, like just be honest with your audience. And people are really intuitive. Like, people can figure out pretty fast if you're full of shit.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking back because TikTok does the on this day where they show you what you posted a year ago.
Yeah.
And I've been on like April, May was like my 1 year of making consistent content. And some of those videos, like I added them in my story and I was like, ooh, I would not have posted that today.
Right? It's wild, but you felt so confident about it when you put it
But
out
it's
the
like,
first time.
I look back and I was like, right before I got to 1,000 followers, I was like, oh, I was like, when I get to 1,000 followers, I'll read a smutty book of your choice. And there was like that video didn't sit well with some people. And
Sure. Yeah.
looking like I thought about it after I posted it, and I was like, "Yeah, there's a lot of dudes that enter that space for the wrong reasons." Like, I
Yeah.
was genuinely interested, and I think I've shown over the last year that I've continued to read those types of books too. It wasn't just for attention, but it was like it was fun to set a
Oh,
goal,
I mean,
like but I can also see that, like, if that was your introduction to me, like so it's like I didn't take it
yeah.
personally when some people were like there was, I think there was a little bit of negativity with it, but
There's just comments that were like, "Oh, it's like another
it is
guy
what
on
it
Book
is.
Talk, just like reading romance just to get views or whatever."
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
also it's like I had to learn too is like I had a short go, like, viral to me on YouTube,
mhm.
and it was like 100,000 views in a matter of days on YouTube.
Yeah,
So, the
yeah.
YouTube comments section is
Oof.
not book talk.
No, like,
It is a
yeah,
dumpster fire, and I was like, "I just need to walk away from this because there was a trend going around where people were using Lady Gaga's song where it was like, "I don't wanna be friends." And so I made a quick little video, and it was just like you walk into someone's house, and their entire bookshelf is nothing but self-help books.
yeah,
And so it's
that's
like
off the YouTube community for sure.
oh, yeah, they were big mad
Yeah,
about it, and it was like, I tried to, like, explain myself in a couple comments, and then I was just like then it started taking off, and I was like, "Oh,
no,
I'm just better
yeah.
off not being here."
Nope, yeah, I mean, the comment section is really none of our business, like, that's, like, how
Yeah,
I and you'll know, I mean, like, if you really fucked up, like, people will tell you, like, if you you know what I mean? Like, you'll get stitched, you'll get like, it'll be a mess, but, I mean, yeah, like, it is just, do what feels right to you and stay sincere and stay honest, and, I mean, that's all you can with all art, that's all you can
yeah,
really do, you know? It's just it's yeah, you can try, I guess, to, like I think it was Brandon Sanderson, who said that when he before Elantris got published, he was, like, actively trying to write like George R. R. Martin or something like that, or, like, some of the big heavy hitters in the '90s, and, it just wasn't working for him, and
yeah, just because it's not his voice.
no, and look at Brandon Sanderson now. There are so many people like that hate Brandon Sanderson. They like hate those books and like they think there's like whole like subreddits where like they like make fun of him all the time and but you know like he wrote his what he wanted to do to success, his definition of it and a lot of other people's definition of it too, because he was sincere with what he wanted to write,
Yeah.
you know, and that's the way, man.
No, absolutely. No, I just noticed that we went over the anticipated time I had, so
No
thank
worries.
you
Yeah.
for sticking this out for so long, but before I go, I have to ask one question,
Sure.
and I know you can't give me an exact date, but is there an estimate on when book 2 comes out? Like, are we
Yeah,
in 2026?
we are in 2026, I can say
Alright,
that for
awesome.
sure.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
I think that I know it's gonna come out in 2026, and it might be it looks like when all is said and done, it could end up being a fall release instead of a summer release. Um, this book is just a lot bigger,
Yeah,
bigger and not even just page count, but just it's like, I'm doing more. Look
but,
at that.
I think that's a very reasonable turnaround, a little over a year for book
Yeah,
2.
I think that's totally fine. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I would have been if I had the money, like, cause I get paid when I turn in the new hotness, like, so
yeah,
I get paid in chunks, and so, like, if I had, like, a few 100 grand kicking around, I would probably be like, "Yo, I need, like, 2 years to, like," um
fully flesh this out.
but also, like, I can just work hard.
Yeah,
Like, I could just do that. Like, if I had 2 years, I'd probably cram it all in the last 6 months anyway, so
yeah, it's
to be real with
a
my
reality for a lot of
oh,
us.
yeah, totally. So, I seem to work a lot better with a little bit of a fire under my ass, and I do work pretty good on deadlines and, which is good. That's what you need for this industry for sure.
That's
But
why
yeah.
I make pretend deadlines with my content too. It's like it
Yeah.
wouldn't matter if I put the podcast out Tuesday, but it's like it's coming out Monday at 8 AM. It's like I'm gonna make it
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah, but, yeah, look out for it, 2026. I'll probably share the cover in, I don't know, like 4 or 5 months or something like that,
Oh,
or maybe
awesome.
even sooner. I mean, it'd be cool to be able to share the cover sooner rather than later, but,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I'm working every single day on it, and like I said, I'm going to do the very, very best that I possibly can, and hopefully, hopefully as entertaining as the first one, if not more so.
Yeah, well, I can't wait. I'm very much looking forward to it. I'm sure many others are as well. And thank you so much for taking a little bit of time to join me on the podcast today. And
Nice.
if you're listening and for some reason you haven't heard of Evan before, all of the links to his socials and all of that good stuff will be in the description below.
Thanks for thanks for having me on, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
You rock.